There is a specific kind of quiet that settles in the day you decide to stop waiting. It's not the angry silence of slamming a door, nor the tearful silence of defeat. It's a quieter, stranger peace. The phone lies on the table, no longer an enemy, no longer a source of hope. It's just an object again. You catch yourself in the middle of the day, not checking for a message. Your thumb doesn't automatically swipe to his name. And in that moment, there is a breath of freedom. A small, unclaimed space in your mind that used to be occupied by a single, looping question. Will he write? But this quiet is different, isn't it? It's layered. Underneath the relief, there is a faint hum of something else, an emptiness, a strange, phantom limb sensation where the anxiety used to be. You stop the outward act of waiting, but a part of your body, a part of your nervous system, is still listening. It's like telling your ears not to hear a sound that has been ringing for weeks. The conscious mind agrees, but the body remembers the vibration. This is the point where most advice fails you. It tells you to move on, to know your worth, to stop chasing. And you did. You stopped. But no one tells you what to do with the echo inside. No one explains why a simple, logical decision to stop waiting feels like you're trying to hold back the tide with your bare hands. Why does his silence, even when you've chosen it, still have a weight? Why does a part of you still feel tethered? The deeper truth, the one that lives beneath the surface of self-help slogans, is that you were never just waiting for a message. You were waiting for a feeling of being chosen, of being seen, of being important enough to break the silence. And this need, this powerful magnetic pull, does not come from him. It comes from a much deeper place within you. From a psychological perspective, particularly through the lens of Carl Jung, what you are experiencing is not simply a matter of romantic disappointment. You are in a confrontation with an unconscious complex. A complex is a cluster of memories, emotions, and thoughts, all bound together around a central theme, and it lives in the unconscious part of your psyche. It has its own energy, its own gravity. The theme of this particular complex is often abandonment, validation, or attachment. When this man became silent, he didn't just stop communicating. He unknowingly pressed a button on a very old, very sensitive machine inside you. His silence became the perfect trigger, activating this entire constellation of buried feelings. The anxiety, the obsessive thoughts, the constant checking, the replaying of conversations, these are not your conscious choices. They are the symptoms of an awakened complex. It has taken over. This is why trying to fight it with logic alone feels impossible. Telling yourself, "I am a high-value woman, I don't wait," is like shouting at a storm. The storm isn't listening. The complex has its own script, its own emotional logic, and its primary goal is to get the feeling it craves, the feeling that will temporarily soothe the original wound at its core. It believes that his message holds the key. So, when you decide to stop waiting, you are not just fighting your desire for him. You are going against the powerful, primal current of this unconscious pattern. You are telling a starving part of yourself that it will not be fed in the way it expects. This is an act of profound psychological rebellion, and it is supposed to be hard. The emptiness you feel is the space left behind by the departing obsession. The lingering pull is the complex fighting for its survival. Let's look at this screen, this silent phone. It has become a black mirror. When you were deep in the waiting, you weren't looking at a piece of glass and metal. You were staring into a reflection of your own deepest fear, the fear of being insignificant, forgettable, left behind. Every hour that passed without a notification wasn't a measure of his interest. It was a measure of your projected worthlessness. He didn't put it there. The complex did. His silence is not actually about you. His silence is about his own life, his own fears, his own attachments, or lack thereof. But the complex doesn't care about his reality. It hijacks his silence and uses it as a screen to play its own horror movie. A movie where you are always the one left standing outside in the cold, waiting for a door to open. The act of truly stopping the wait is the act of turning away from that black mirror. It's the moment you stop asking, "What does my reflection in his silence say about me?" and start asking, "What is this old story that his silence has awakened in me?" This is the critical shift. The power begins to return to you, not when he writes, but when you take back the screen. Think about the energy you've spent, The mental loops, the analysis of his last seen status, the decoding of his short replies, the conversations with friends. This is an immense amount of psychic energy, of life force. Where was it all going? It was feeding the complex. The complex is like a ghost in your psychological house that only gets stronger the more you pay attention to it. It thrives on the drama, the hope, the despair. It doesn't want resolution, it wants the cycle to continue. When you stop waiting, you are, in essence, cutting off its food supply. You are starving the ghost. This is why it screams the loudest right when you decide to ignore it. It will throw everything at you. Sudden waves of intense longing. What-if scenarios where he is about to message you. Feelings of deep regret. A voice that whispers, "You're making a mistake. Just check one more time." This is not a sign that you are weak. This is a sign that you are winning. This is the complex in its death throes. It is using its last reserves of energy to pull you back into the familiar, painful loop. Your job is not to argue with these thoughts or feelings. Your job is to observe them, name them. Ah, there is the complex again. And gently return your attention to your own life, to the cup of tea in your hands, to the book you're reading, to the work on your desk, to the feeling of your feet on the ground. This is where the work of individuation, as Carl Jung called it, truly begins. Individuation is the process of becoming a whole, integrated individual, distinct from the collective unconscious and the roles we are expected to play. For a woman caught in this pattern, it means disentangling her sense of self from the approval or attention of a man. It means finding her center of gravity within herself, not in his inbox. Stopping the wait is a profound act of individuation. You are unconsciously declaring, "My wholeness does not depend on your response. My peace is not contingent on your message. I will not allow my inner state to be a puppet dancing on the strings of your silence." This process unearths the shadow. The shadow, in Jungian terms, contains the parts of ourselves that we repress or deny. For the woman who is always the cool girl, the understanding one, the one who doesn't chase, her shadow might contain a deeply needy, terrified inner child who is desperate for validation. For the woman who is a giver and a fixer, her shadow might contain a rage at being taken for granted. Waiting for his message keeps this shadow hidden. The obsession with him prevents you from having to look at you. It's a perfect distraction. The moment you stop, the silence creates a space, and into that space, the shadow can emerge. You might feel an unfamiliar anger, a deep, profound sadness that seems too big for just this one situation, a feeling of being lost. Do not run from this. This is the gold. This is the part of you that needs to be seen and integrated. The sadness is not just about him. It's the accumulated grief of every time you abandoned yourself while waiting for someone else. The anger is not just at him. It's a healthy, life-affirming rage against the pattern that has cost you so much of your peace. Meet this shadow with curiosity, not judgment. Ask it, "What have you been trying to tell me? What part of me did I sacrifice to keep this connection going?" The woman who can sit with these uncomfortable feelings without immediately running back to the distraction of waiting is the woman who is truly healing. She is retrieving lost pieces of her own soul. There's another layer to this. The man you were waiting for is not just a person. He has also become a carrier for your animus projection. The animus is the unconscious masculine side of a woman's psyche. When it is unconscious and projected, a woman looks for a man to carry her own inner authority, her decisiveness, her sense of direction, her connection to meaning. You project this idealized inner figure onto an external man. You believe he holds the key to your certainty, your happiness, your next step. His message then becomes a symbol for your own inner masculine, giving you permission to feel okay, to feel validated. This is why it feels so intensely important. You're not waiting for a hello. You're waiting for a part of your own psyche to come back to you. Stopping the wait is the first step in withdrawing that projection. It's a painful but necessary process of reclaiming your own animus. It means learning to be your own source of authority. It means learning to validate yourself. It means finding your own direction, even if you feel lost at first. The emptiness you feel is the space where the projection used to be. It's an invitation to fill that space with your own consciousness, your own strength. So, what does this look like practically? It looks like letting the phone lie there. It looks like when the thought of him arises, you acknowledge it, and then you deliberately place your attention elsewhere, on something that nourishes you. It's not about blocking the thought, it's about not feeding it. Imagine you are in a room, and in the corner is that ghost, that complex. For weeks, you have been staring at it, talking to it, trying to figure it out. Now, you simply turn your back. You pick up a paintbrush. You call a friend to talk about her life. You go for a walk and focus on the feeling of the sun on your skin. The ghost will flicker. It will try to get your attention. But without your focus, it slowly, surely begins to fade. There will be moments of weakness, a lonely evening, a song on the radio. The urge to check, to send a seemingly casual message, will feel overwhelming. In these moments, remember what you are fighting for. You are not fighting for his attention. You are fighting for your own sovereignty. You are breaking a generational pattern. You are teaching your nervous system a new way to be, a way that is not dependent on the whims of another. If this reflection is naming something you have never been able to say out loud, take a moment to acknowledge the strength it took to even get this far. The decision to stop waiting is a quiet revolution. The paradox is that your withdrawal, your genuine return to yourself, is the only thing that can ever change the dynamic. Not as a tactic, not as a game of no contact to make him miss you. That is still feeding the complex, just with a different strategy. It has to be a real, authentic shift of energy. A woman who is obsessing over whether her silence is working is still waiting. A woman who is genuinely absorbed in her own life, her own purpose, her own joy, radiates a completely different energy. She is no longer a void waiting to be filled. She is full. And this is the woman who is magnetic, not because she is playing hard to get, but because she is whole. Her value is not up for debate. It is not pending his approval via text message. It is a fact, grounded in her own being. Whether he messages you again becomes, strangely, irrelevant to your core sense of peace. If he does, you will meet his message from a new place. You will not be the hungry ghost, desperate for a crumb. You will be a sovereign queen in her own kingdom, deciding if you even want to open the gates. You will be able to discern if his message is a genuine attempt at connection, or just a breadcrumb to see if you are still available. Your newly integrated self will know the difference instantly. And if he never messages, you will notice one day that you haven't thought about it. The quiet in your mind will no longer be laced with emptiness. It will be a clean, open space. A space for your own thoughts, your own dreams, your own life to rush in. The phone will just be a phone. His name in your contacts will just be a name. The tether will be gone. This is the real prize, not the message, but the freedom from needing one. It's the moment you realize you were never waiting for him. You were waiting for yourself to finally come home. And you're here. My peace is no longer waiting for a notification. But what does this peace feel like in your body? For so long, your body has been a fortress under siege. The tension in your shoulders was the guard on the wall. Your shallow breath was the scout listening for hoofbeats. Your stomach was a knot of strategic plans and worst-case scenarios. You may not have noticed it consciously, but your physiology was in a state of chronic, low-grade fight or flight. Waiting is a form of threat detection for the nervous system. The threat is abandonment. The signal of safety is the message. When you truly let go, the first place you might feel it is in your breath. One day, you will take a deep, involuntary sigh. It will feel as if a lung you didn't know was constricted has finally opened. Your diaphragm will drop. You will feel your own center of gravity lower, from your racing mind down into your pelvis, grounding you to the earth. Your shoulders, which have been subtly creeping towards your ears for months, will release. You might feel a sudden urge to stretch, to roll your neck, to physically shake out the residue of the weight. This is your body memory recalibrating. It is unlearning the posture of anxiety. It is realizing that the threat is gone, not because the all-clear signal came from him, but because you dismantled the watchtower yourself. You told your body, we are no longer on high alert. We are safe, right here, within ourselves. No one is coming, and we are okay. In fact, we are more than okay. We are free. This physical release unlocks a new level of presence. You begin to notice the world again, not as a backdrop to your inner drama, but as a place you actually inhabit. Food starts to have more flavor. Music has more texture. You can follow the plot of a movie without rewinding it 3 times because your mind wandered back to him. When a friend is talking to you, you are fully there. You hear her words. You see the emotion in her eyes. and your mind doesn't have a split screen running in the background, constantly scanning the horizon for a digital smoke signal. This is a profound sign of healing, the return of your full attention to your own life. Your psychic energy, once hemorrhaging into the black hole of waiting, is now flowing back into you, and with it comes a renewed sense of curiosity. You might find yourself wanting to learn that language you always talked about, or visit that museum you kept putting off, or simply sit in a park and watch the world go by without an agenda. This isn't keeping busy as a distraction. This is the natural impulse of a life force that is no longer being suppressed. You are not filling a void. You are tending to a garden that is finally getting your sun and your water. And then, when you have truly settled into this new country of self-possession, the universe will send you a final exam. It will likely happen on a completely ordinary day, a Tuesday morning perhaps. You're making coffee, thinking about a work project, feeling content, and then your phone buzzes. You glance down, and there it is, his name. After weeks or months of silence, a message. Hey, been thinking about you. How have you been? Let's pause here. Feel that moment. The old you, the you that was tethered to the complex, would have experienced a physiological explosion, a jolt of adrenaline, a spike in heart rate, a dizzying rush of hope and vindication. The ghost you starved would have roared back to life, screaming, "See? I was right. It worked. He came back." Your entire nervous system would be hijacked, and your first impulse would be to craft the perfect reply, one that was cool but available, interested but not desperate. The game would be back on. But the new you, the integrated you, responds differently. There is no explosion. There is a quiet hum of recognition. Your heart does not leap into your throat. Your breath remains steady. You look at his name on the screen, and you feel distance. Not a cold, angry distance, but a neutral, observational distance. You see the message not as a validation of your worth, but simply as a piece of information. Your first thought is not, "What does this mean about me?" or "What does he want?" Instead, a new, quieter question emerges from your core. How do I feel about this? You are able to look at the message and see it for what it is. A low-effort bid for attention, a breadcrumb, a feeler sent out from his own world, which has nothing to do with your inner state of peace. The sovereign queen does not get flustered when a messenger from a distant land arrives at the gate. She observes, she assesses, she decides. In that moment, you will feel the ghost of the old pattern. A faint whisper from the shadow might say, "Reply now, don't lose him again." But it is no longer a roar that deafens you. It is a whisper you can hear without obeying. You can acknowledge it with a kind of inner nod. "Ah, there you are, old friend. I remember you." And then you can consciously choose a different path. You might put the phone down and finish making your coffee. You might decide to answer in a few hours, or the next day, or not at all. The urgency is gone. The power is gone. His power over your nervous system has been neutralized, because you are no longer outsourcing your sense of safety to him. You are your own safe harbor. The final exam was never about whether he would message you. The final exam was to see if you would abandon yourself again if he did, and you passed. Passing this test solidifies a new layer of self-trust that is unshakable. You have proven to yourself, on a cellular level, that your peace is now internally generated. It is not for sale. It cannot be bought with a casual text message. From this place, your journey continues, but on an entirely new plane. You walk into the world not as a half-person looking for your completion, but as a whole person, curious about who might be whole enough to walk alongside you. The desperation is gone, replaced by discernment. The neediness is gone, replaced by a quiet confidence. You have stopped waiting for his message, yes, but in the process, you have started to receive a much more important one. It is a message that comes not through a screen, but from the deepest part of your own being. It speaks in the language of calm breaths, of genuine laughter, of grounded feet on the earth. It is a constant, steady signal, and it says, simply, "You are here, you are whole, you are home."